The first thing I did was reach for my coffee, which I just remembered was empty from 2 seconds ago, and smashed it into the microphone. And now the microphone's gone wonky. Come back, microphone, working. Even my head's bounced off the top of the screen. Look, I've got to shrink down like that. What I can do, though, I can use my cunning standing desk to change the height.
Oh, there we
magic.
go. Come down to my level. Swamp.
Well, we're back, Dave. This is going to be a recording. We're not going to stop. It's going to be warts and all.
Okay, bud, I don't care.
Care not one jot. So what have you been up to since last we met?
Yeah, well, strange you should mention that. I haven't really stopped on many fronts in between having an accident last year and putting myself on my back for 4 months. The latest I'm looking at is obviously PRINCE2, but also, which I want to talk about today, is APM PMQ, which is the English, if you will, qualification, similar to PMP is from the Americans across the pond. APM PMQ is from the Brits, although it, of course, sells in other countries as well. So APM PMQ in particular, and talk about the changes that are in the pot already. Little brief bit of history. APM PMQ is currently what they call the 7th edition, which is what I created the course that we have on Projex Academy some 4 years ago now. The previous to that was 6th edition. I'll mention that because that's going to come up a little later. But there's a move afoot to go into the 8th edition. Internet is abuzz with that. One of the things that not a lot of folks know is that the 8th edition is going to be a little while yet. And for the information I've gleaned online, because it's all in the melting pot, if I wanted to create a course on the 8th edition, I couldn't right now because nothing's been released. But what we do know is that it's still going through audit and updates and whatnot. And we expect probably the first exams on the 8th edition will be early 2026. So about a year, a little less than a year from now.
We've had at least 2 tickets, I think, from students or subscribers asking about APM PMQ. Someone commented on one of the YouTube channels just the other day asking about it. But if it's a year out, perhaps we need to prioritize that with the other stuff that you're working on. I know you've just done. Yeah. Hey, tell everyone about PRINCE2 7 because I know you just spent what seems like decades working on the new PRINCE2 7. And it's a major revamp to the old, very successful PRINCE2 6th course. The new one is getting massive traction. So that's and of course being officially certified by PeopleCert and being one of their accredited trainers is a big boost for us as well.
We are indeed.
Tell the dear listener about PRINCE2 7. I mean, we always do these podcasts with no real structure. It's just a chat, isn't it? So, but what I think from my perspective as the website guy, the biggie obviously is getting PRINCE2 7 done. We've got a new pricing structure, which is simpler and working really well because we do the, as we're a PeopleCert accredited trainer, we now offer ticket vouchers and exam sittings we can arrange with them, which is good. But our other courses, like you said, everything I think it's such a moving target with all of these project management methodologies and products. But I know that I keep bugging you because you've got an excellent but old Microsoft Project course. And I know you're way deep into developing the new Microsoft Project course. And from my perspective, I really want to get that online before you go on to APM PMQ. But do you think PMQ is going to be a higher priority than Microsoft Project?
That's a really great question, Nick. From what I've learned in the last few days, getting the updates from the great and the good, the fact that not even the official book, the body of knowledge, or BOK as they call it, has been made yet. So, and it won't be done until the back end of this year, meaning that the earliest exams can take place will be in like Q1 of 2026, which now paints to answer your question, is quite interesting because it suggests to me that rather that I actually don't need to do anything with our current APM PMQ masterclass. And so therefore I would prioritize it that I roll my sleeves up and get stuck into the very latest 2025 Microsoft project. And when that's done, then perhaps shift gears and see how the APM group are doing on their new version 8. But as I say, it's at least a year out from now. So our APM PMQ offering is bang on the money. It's what everyone needs. And I wanted to use this podcast just to give a very brief overview of what it is. And to finish off this podcast, just a little bit of here's what's coming in version 8. And here's some of the things you'll expect different. It won't be a detailed chat, but it is a different exam. So it'll be significant and it'll almost certainly mean me creating extra videos. And that's an interesting point because our current 7th edition APM PMQ Masterclass is for the current exam. It's exactly geared for that. And when the version 8 comes out, from the little bit of information I've got thus far, version 7 will still be needed and still be examined. It's just that version 8 will add extra bits, which I want to talk about at the back end of today.
Here's a question from a non-project manager. I know that there was a big changes in PeopleCert PRINCE2 7. You sort of told me there's a major revamp from the previous PRINCE2. Do the methodologies align? Are all of the bodies that control these different project management methodologies, if that's the right word, are they all moving in the same direction, sort of adopting the same techniques? Are they all going agile, or are they doing sort of something that's similar?
Well, you hit the nail on the head. What a great question. Exactly right. I'm sure they're all having secret clandestine meetings behind closed doors.
The project management Illuminati.
More likely, what they're doing is they're going, we need to update this, say it's PRINCE2 or BMP or APM PMQ. Let's look what the others are saying. And they go, oh, look, they're covering this topic. We need to include that also. So, yes, I'm seeing them all sort of shuffling in a moving dance forever going forward, pulling in common ties. The move into agile hybrids is huge. AI will be appearing in the new APM PMQ, as AI will be being used more and more often. I can see it already. Everyone can, because you can't go on the internet without hearing someone spouting about the latest little tool or prompt or whatever. So the good news is, because the APM PMQ, what we've got was and is the perfect vehicle for anyone who wants to prepare and pass the current APM PMQ exam. We've got everything that you need, including sample exams, exam advice, etc., as well as a complete raft of very high quality, videos, MP4s that they can watch online, and PDF documents that they can download with information in it. So I'm not here to sell that. I really want to tell it that that's what it is, and that's what we currently offer.
Yeah, I wonder how AI is going to affect project management methodologies in particular. I'll give you an example. So when I'm not wearing my Projects Academy hat, I do consultancy for other companies, as you know. Always in software. That's my bag. I was doing something for a client week before last, and I actually joined a meeting, and their project manager basically said, "Right, Nick. So this is my area of expertise is the IBM i Power System." And basically, he told me that this is what they wanted to do, and I was like, "Okay, so am I here for you to ask me how to do it, or am I here for you to tell me how you want to do it?" And he put this slide up, and it had the steps, and I would say it was probably 70% correct and 30% very wrong. Like, things were out of sequence. It just wouldn't have worked. And these were kind of these 20 steps for bringing a subsystem down and making some changes to a web service and bring it back up again. Excuse me. And of course, I was talking to him, and I could tell from just the verbiage that it was AI generated. When you use Microsoft Copilot, for example, Microsoft's AI, it has a very specific way of speaking and laying documents out. So it's very obvious he just got this from AI. So he'd plugged in his technical requirements. AI had sort of spouted out this slightly accurate response, and he'd taken it as, well, that's AI, so it must be correct. So it ended up being like a 20-minute conversation, going through it step by step and saying, right, step 3 is wrong, delete it. Step 5 is redundant. That should be really in step 2. And we came up with, after 20 minutes of moving it around, the final plan looked very different to what he generated. But my worry is that people use AI and place, it's still early days, but AI is still a baby. It's a stroppy teenager that thinks it knows everything right now. And I'm wondering how that's going to work on project management planning. Because I can see AI coming up and building out like a template for any project and how it's going to work. But then that's where you guys, the experts, have got to come in and rip that apart and place it. It's going to get better as times go by. Is AI built into the stuff you did for PRINCE2? Is it built into that PRINCE2 7? Because it definitely will be on PRINCE2 8, I bet.
You never know. To answer your question, though, it's the fact that most folks, because AI is in its infancy, I play a lot with it. And when I say play, I mean I use it as a tool whenever I can. The thing about AI is it started out pretty much being let me scrape the internet and find the stuff you want to know about. And how it's evolving, and people who use AI, like your project management friend and me, need to learn how to better use it. The way I'm finding now is that you don't want to use AI to go and scrape information and create a report. where I think AI will come into, let's use the word reports, that if you've got some central application, uh, enterprise-wide, that AI, let's take communication, AI can go in there and find all the relevant bits of information to a particular report and give you the format of the report and the topic areas you want to cover. Then you'll always want a bit of human tweaking. You're right, it still can be a little robotic. So I think the answer is that we'll be using AI to help run our projects. And you talked about a plan. What about Microsoft Project? Will that have AI in it? Well, whether it does or whether it doesn't, people will be using AI to perhaps get into Microsoft Project and glean information from it. But anyone who uses AI to create a plan, I think you need to be, as you just suggested correctly, let's do it as the first step. Go through it row by row, line by line, and correct the goofs.
My gut feeling is they will be. I think that Microsoft in particular are going to integrate their AI Copilot into everything. It's already being integrated into Microsoft Edge when you use that to browse. It's, the search, even the search engines are being taken over by AIs doing it. I tend to use, what do you use? I tend to use Copilot for quick and dirty when I'm browsing. I really like the DuckDuckGo AI, whatever it's called, DDG AI. I use that a lot when I'm blogging. When I'm writing a technical blog on my programming website, I quite frequently will start off with the premises of going in and asking some questions, and it just spits out pretty good, like a bunch of information, which I then take, read, reword, and sort of take some nuts. Because sometimes it will ask questions that I don't think of, and I can then take those as questions and do answers on them. But I've really wanted to try the new X AI Grok.
Grok, yes.
Purely because everything I see online, Grok, well, it makes me laugh. It seems to be quite funny and flippant in some of its answers, which I find quite amusing. So perhaps we should do like a podcast on AI specials and choose a different AI bot for whatever they're called. And
maybe,
how about that we come up with a project management specific question and ask all the major AI and see how their answer's different? That could be an interesting experiment to go through.
Here's an interesting aside. In fact, I'm a huge Elon fanboy. When I'm on YouTube, not getting involved with projects, but having a cup of coffee, I'll go and see how things are going. Now, ChatGPT, which was the first one I used, and I still use to this day, has gradually evolved. If you look how it's become more and more powerful, Grok came out of nowhere, like, was it last year or something? And it's now up as high as Chat is. So Grok is growing, learning, let's use the word learning, adapting, evolving, loads faster than the others. But yes, I like Chat. I like the one that you put me onto. That's the DuckDuckGo and the whatever it is on Edge.
Well, it uses, so the DuckDuckGo, and hey, dear listener, if you haven't done it, go and download the DuckDuckGo browser. DuckDuckGo is just, I like it because it's more agnostic. You're not locked into Google, you're not locked into Microsoft. It gives you some more privacy. And when you click the AI button on the DuckDuckGo browser, it gives you a choice of 4 different AI engines. I don't know what they are without looking, but there's like 2 biggies and then 2 open source AI. So I'll quite often, if I'm looking for something that I just don't know, I'll ask the same question and choose the different AIs and you get slightly different answers. And you can glean some good responses from playing with those.
Another one that I've used fairly a lot. Again, they all get slightly different results, and I'm not saying one's better than the other. It's called Claude, C-L-A-U-D.
That is, yeah. Now, Claude is one of the ones in the DDG AI. Yeah, that's an open source, like a Swiss one or something, I think. Something like that.
Yeah, whatever. I think if you look for it online, it'll be Claude AI or Claude.ai or something. But that's worth playing around with. And in other words, I just see them as a group of tools. And if I do one thing, I'll get 2 results from 2 of them, compare the 2, and that helps me perhaps to see any overlaps or worse, things that should be there and aren't.
Yeah, I kind of see in the future that specifically you would build, let's say you build a big project plan, complex with thousands of people being involved in steps, and you want to make a change in the middle and see how that affects everything else. That's where AI will come in useful, because it has the scope to look at this massive plan and say, right, if you change this bit here, that will affect this bit here, and this bit might have to be changed to this. It's a tool, but my worry is people will rely on it too much, then we'll become this society of non-thinkers just letting AI do all the thinking for us, which I think is a legit concern for lots of people.
Project managers must be driving the train with no idea how the engine works.
You ever seen that? It's a kids' cartoon movie. I can't think what it's called, and it has it's the future of society on a spaceship, and everyone is horrendously fat, floating around on these little like those electric buggies, but they're floating around because they're just being fed and not doing it. And robots do everything for them. And the brain is just like that. If you don't think and think yourself and let something else do the thinking for you, you get into, which maybe we're seeing in society now. There's a lot of non-critical thinkers out there that think in a very binary way, whether it's from politics to religion to ethics, that it's like, this is bad, this is good. And there's no nuance in between, that things can be both good and bad. And that sort of critical thinking is something that's super critical for project managers, because things in any project sometimes aren't either on or off. They can go either way.
I would go further and say that some of the most impressive project managers I've had the privilege of working for, and meeting online have been those that actually do think about the options and look at trade-offs and negotiate the right way through. Communication is an absolute key skill. And to take your point you mentioned about scheduling, I think where AI can help an active project manager partway through their project is actually looking at scheduling options, trading off one against the other, and AI coming up with a set of options that the human then goes, that's not bad, that's good, oh, that's a good one, and helping them to make decisions on the fly. And I think that's where thinking project management will come into its own, with AI as a support tool, not as something that thinks for them.
Absolutely. So, excuse me coughing in the early morning cloudy dawn here in Spain. I went out to feed the dogs this morning, and it's like I was walking out into the clouds up here on the mountainside. It's like a scene out of an apocalyptic movie.
This looks like November in the UK at the moment.
Yeah, it's March. It's cold though. Cold, and it's nice, but it's just chilly and wet. I don't know. Wait, you're about an hour inland from me, aren't you? So you're a higher elevation there. Are you colder? What's it like outside? It's no snow where you are.
It is. No. Snow is very unusual, but we've known about this. My wife keeps a close eye on the Spanish weather because she's usually out shopping, and she said this week was going to be rain, and sure enough, it is. However, next week it's going to improve, so it'll be warmer next week. Says her prediction.
You've been watching the floods down in, I think, where's it? Malaga, down on like the Costa del Sol, just south of here. Like we had those horrible floods at Valencia last year. We've had rainy storms for about a week, and I just happened to see on one of the social media sites this morning pictures of like cars being washed down streets down there. It's pretty terrifying.
It is. Well, the thing is, I love Spain, but one of the traits of those who build towns and cities and houses here is they don't put normally not very much guttering on the roofs, if at all. When I was living there, no, that's right. It can just come off the roof and just drip down onto the floor, and within half an hour, it's all evaporated. The other thing that they don't do here is the roads don't necessarily have very good drains or drains at all. So we're on a little bit of an incline in this town where I am, and Jude has been going out shopping, which she has to do. She said it's just pouring down all the road. It's gravity. It's just taking it to the lowest point. And where you are, since I've been there quite a few years, on the south coast, straight, I can't think of the name of the area anyway, there was always flooding, and the roads were absolutely, you couldn't get through them. So, and it only happens when it rains. And when it rains here in Spain, as you know, it comes down like buckets. But then it, just like a cheerful friend, next that few days, it's back to sun again, and you're sitting outside having a cold beer in the shade.
Yep. Anyway, even though it's chilly today, my plan for this afternoon is take the missus out for a little Mediterranean side lunch. We're going to go and grab some.
Yeah, that's probably not a bad thing.
Spanish seafood in a bit after this. That's the plan. So let's wrap this up. What do you want to cover? Is it what's coming next, work-wise? What courses are you working on actively?
Well, as you know, you and I have been talking very closely in the last few days. It's from the fact that I've discovered that we won't really need a new APM PMQ for another year. It puts the focus on me on getting Microsoft projectors up to speed and up to date. I've been teaching that thing since the 90s, so I know probably more about Microsoft Project than anybody. And it's just a matter of me getting my stuff together, creating new videos, and my priority now, I think, will be getting Microsoft Project launched, in between helping to spread the good word about our excellent value PRINCE2 Foundation course and Practitioner course. Both, of course, are fully accredited and audited by PeopleCert, and you have to be good to get through that. So I obviously recommend it, but I would because I'm biased. So I want to make sure that I keep getting the word out for that. Other than that, I think Microsoft Project is numero uno to get done because we get, as you say, lots of requests for it. And in between, doing blogs and podcasts like this, maybe.
Yep. And as always, dear listener, viewer, subscriber, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever time it is, if there's anything specifically you'd like Dave to cover, whether it's talking about on a podcast or writing a blog about, or maybe adding or expanding one of our existing courses over at Projex.com, leave a comment or go to Project, click the support button at the top and leave a ticket, because we just develop and build things. Dave does all the courses and I do the technical side. We just build that stuff based on what we think everyone wants. And occasionally we get some great input from our current subscribers, or sometimes it's just a random comment someone leaves on a YouTube video. Hey, how do you do so-and-so? And that's enough for Dave and I to talk about it, and that leads into creating something. So if there's anything you really want to cover, or perhaps a part of one of the courses that you would like to have in more detail, or like a mini course, we'd love to hear anything like that. That'd be good. I'm even actually thinking, so Dave, one of the things I was talking about, this will put you on the spot, when we were yesterday going through the Microsoft project course that you're at the tail end of, I was thinking about, because I saw that you had like 15 modules. Well, you've still got a lot of work to do on it, but I don't want to drill you down and say when's the release date. But I was thinking more about drip feeding it rather than waiting for the entire course to be done. Let's say that you end up saying, there's 15 main modules, whether we like really go, right, finish module 1, publish it, finish module 2, publish it, and just have the whole course structured with each module being released every number of days or once a week or something like that.
Well, from a business perspective, creation perspective, we could certainly do that. I'd want to hear some feedback from customers that say, yeah, I don't mind getting lesson 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then waiting 3 or 4 weeks and then getting 5, 6, and 7. And by that time, they've forgotten the early bits. So yes, that's not a bad idea. If that's what folks want, then we can certainly do it.
Because it's almost more organic. That's what I'm thinking about, is like, as you release something, if we can have subscribers watch it, and if that generates questions, to put a question to you, hey, how do you do so-and-so? They could be driving how you're generating the next module, including extra pieces. Just something that's kind of in my brain about, it's a bit of a change to how we create courses, but it's a bit more, it's more agile.
Yes. One thing I would say on this is that let's talk about Microsoft Project, the new one I'm doing. Just like the old one from back in 2010.
15 years ago, Dave.
Yeah, I know. I had white hair. I had black hair then. This old pair of headphones weren't chewed by the dog back then, which I rarely used, but I had to put them on today. Where was I going with this? Oh, yes. So each module, let's call it that, section, if this was a book, it would be chapters, would first of all have me creating slide set, much like I always do, voice overing it, showing how this and that works, and then jumping to a live screen, powering up Microsoft Project and taking them through live on screen. Here's how you do that in Microsoft Project. So there's 2 parts to each. And frankly, the hardest bit probably is actually getting the latest Microsoft Projects live screen pieces and taking them through it. Because I know the structure of each chapter, and getting the slides together won't be that hard. But the bit I want to take most care of, I wouldn't say the hardest bit, is that I show them, as is my reputation, blow by blow, can't even say it, chunk by chunk, piece by piece, in baby steps. I think, I got it. It's in a logical, you do that, then you do that, and this is what that means. So I think I want to take care on the live piece. So that'll probably take more of my development time going forward from today.
Okay. Are we going to try and sit down and do, we started off a running pace with podcasts, recording 2, 3, 4 of them, and then it's been like a 4 or 5 month break while we've both been doing other stuff. I think we should do this more often, even if it's just a chit chat informally.
Well, it's interesting because I didn't know what we were going to talk about apart from APM PMQ. So I've made a load of rough notes here. I haven't really used any of them, and it doesn't really matter. I think that you've got the message, is that go to Projects Academy, choose our APM PMQ masterclass. It's got everything you need to prepare and pass for the current and for the foreseeable future APM PMQ exam. As for the new 8th edition updates, I won't go through that. I think it'll bore the pants off you. I've just got it here. But there is quite a lot of new stuff. They're actually going to integrate, get this, 3 editions. Version 6, which was years ago, version 7, which is current, and version 8 will all come together, and they'll be regurgitating some earlier versions of it, for the good, I might add. And they'll also bring in stuff that you might not be interested in knowing, but enhanced processes and tools they used to have something called ITTOs, process tools, techniques, and outputs, way back from the 6th edition, which hasn't been around since, I was about to say, the turn of the century. No, it's not quite that bad, but back a good decade ago. And they're now regurgitating that. And what they're doing with the new one is they're going to have some higher level looks and some lower level looks. An example, with scheduling, they'll be covering that. Instead of looking at the details of Gantt charts and stuff, they'll take a higher view. I think that's right. And then when it comes to things like resources, which was right down in a lot of detail, they might take a more higher view. So there's going to be some different balances, which means I would need to make sure, and they will be, included in our new version. So just this list here, I've got 6 points which I won't go into, AI being one of them. This suggests to me that even when we get to sort of like autumn this year, Q3 if you want, then even then that'll be when the new book, The Body of Knowledge, BOK, comes out. And it's then that course creators like myself will dig into it and see exactly precisely what's going on. And so I won't be starting it until about then. Again, that's why I think we're very happy to carry on using our current version for the rest of 2025. And for me, focus on Microsoft Project, which does seem to be a lot of interest out there. I mean, again, just like Nick said, do let us know, give us some feedback. And if there's any particular elements of Microsoft Project that fools you, drop us an email in some way. Get in touch with our ticket system or what have you. Is that the right advice, Nick?
Well, yeah, just leave a comment. We're going to stick this video out to all the major platforms, Spotify, YouTube, Rumble, everywhere I can find to stick it. So leave a comment. We try and check all the comments. And if it's something you really want a quick answer, like Dave said, go to the website, click support, and leave a ticket. Just leave a ticket. We always answer all of those. And if we can cover it, we will.
It might take us 24 hours if we're very busy, but we'll always be.
Absolutely. All right, Dave, that seems like a logical end. We just passed 30 minutes, so good timing.
Good Lord.
I know, time flies when you're having fun.
So much for me yesterday saying, listen, Nick, it'll probably only take 5 minutes. We haven't got much to talk about. Story of my life. Easy.
All right, Senor, I will talk to you later.
Sounds a plan and look forward to that. Bye for now.
Hasta mañana.